Good day. My name is Kenya Thornton with Elizas Helping Hands, a local community advocacy group located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with and questioning Miss Marina Castillo, who is a local immigration attorney here. And so obviously the whole point of us doing the questions today is because this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we wanted to not only just bring awareness to the cause of domestic violence, but we also want to make sure that we get an understanding about immigration and understand how the platform of immigration works with victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and other violent crimes in the immigrant community, so that we can have a better understanding as other citizens of this community and how to help. So with that being said, all right, so the first thing I wanted to know, of course, for the community is, what is your name?
Thank you so much, Kenya, for the invitation. It's a pleasure and privilege to be here. My name is Marina Castillo. I'm an immigration attorney here in Winston-Salem, and very happy to answer your questions, Kenya.
So obviously the first thing is just to confirm, what is your profession? And how long have you practiced your profession here?
Okay, so I have been an immigration attorney for more than 10 years actually. I studied in Connecticut and I came to North Carolina in 2011. I was working in a non-profit organization in Greensboro. The name is Faith Action International House from 2011 to 2015, when I opened my own law practice here in Winston-Salem.
Okay, so obviously we're talking about domestic violence, and this is Domestic Violence or National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I don't think I asked you this. Where are you a native of?
Excellent question, Kenya. I'm from Venezuela, South America, and I have been here in the United States since 2006. And very happy to have the opportunity to be in this incredible country.
And since you do practice law here in Winston-Salem, do you mind me asking, as a lovely female, has it always been your passion to want to be an attorney, or what prompted you to want to do that?
Well, let me tell you that I was an attorney in Venezuela. I practiced there for 16 years. And when I came to the United States, I decided to go to law school again because I really needed to practice law again. It's in my heart. I think since I was 9 years old, I decided to be an attorney. And that's something that I wanted to do because I believe in justice. I believe that, we need people to help other people to accomplish what the laws state. So when I came to the United States, I went to law school. I didn't even know what kind of law I wanted to practice. So I took immigration law just because I was an immigrant and I was in an immigration process. But what happened is that I fell in love with immigration law. I don't know what happened there, but I really decided taking that class that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, or for the rest of my working life. And here I am, trying to, helping people in order to, accompany them in the immigration process.
So that's wonderful to hear. And since, again, we're talking about domestic violence, I, of course, wanted to do this interview because we were talking about victims and survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and just violence in general. And you being an immigrant to this country and immigrating to this country, we just, as the expanded community, wanted to know kind of what that process looks like for victims who may be going through various challenges, and just kind of that process. So that we can understand and advocate on their behalf too. Initially, I guess the first thing is do you see a lot of domestic violence, sexual assault cases goes through the immigrant process, or what is that called, I guess?
Immigration law is very complex. I can, of course, be the whole day trying to explain how the immigration process is for victims of domestic violence and other crimes. But I can tell you, I want to try to summarize, and there are two immigration benefits. The principal two immigration benefits are VAWAs and U visas. The VAWA benefit is for victims of domestic violence whose family member or the family member who abuses the victim is a legal permanent resident or U.S. citizen. And the U visa is for the victims of violent crimes, including domestic violence, that it doesn't have any requirements about the abuser. So this immigration benefit is used for the majority of the victims of domestic violence and other violence crimes to apply for obtaining a legal status. Being said that, I want to explain a little bit what it means obtaining an immigration or legal status in the United States. It means that you can obtain employment authorization document, you can obtain a social security number, and you can obtain also a driver license, which of course is gonna impact positively the life of the victims. And in regards to challenge, what I see Kenya is that like I said before, these are some of the benefits, but the majority of the victims, they don't know about these benefits. So they don't apply because of lack of knowledge. And I want to say thank you, in this point, for all the education like you are providing as a non-profit organization for the victims. I see all the work that you do educating the victims so they can move forward in order to apply for these benefits, because the loss is there. What is happening is that the victims don't know, so they don't apply. Another challenge that I see, it is related to law enforcement agencies. And I'm going to explain a little bit about the U visa itself. The U visa benefits requires U visa certification. The U visa certification needs to be signed by the law enforcement agency that was involved in the incident. So it can be the police department, it can be the sheriff office, it can be any of the law enforcement agencies. Because of this is a requirement, the victim cannot apply or cannot go to the immigration department, to USCIS, and apply for their benefit without this U visa certification. So what I have noticed, in my opinion, my humble opinion as an immigration attorney, is that sometimes the law enforcement agencies are so busy that it takes so long in order to give us a response. And we know and we are grateful for all their job, for keeping our community safety. But this is also an important job that the immigration law is giving them. And unfortunately, without this U visa certification, the victim cannot move forward with the case. So sometimes it takes so long, sometimes it's just denied. And unfortunately, the immigration law give a lot of discretionality to the law enforcement agency. So if they deny, practically the victims, has their hands tied and they cannot apply for their benefit. So this is another challenge that I face every day as an immigration attorney.
Wow, so that's a lot. Just to do that. So not only are people coming here as immigrants, however they got here, they're coming here and then they're having to go through that, and then a crime is committed, and then they may or may not know of services that may be available or what their rights are. Because I think we as the people that originally are from here tend to not know when we think that it doesn't affect us directly, and so then we don't know all these different things. So a person comes, so they can call law enforcement, and they go through this process, it sounds like. And once they go through the process in terms of with the police, it puts them in a position to be able to get this type of visa. And then from there, so the police then have to sign off on the documentation in order for you to submit it to the immigration. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. So then the challenge, of course, is that it's taking a long time. They're doing police work, but they're taking a long time because I think, again, from an educational sense and educating the community, it's like it's something that if it doesn't affect you directly, then you don't know, because I didn't know the full scope. Even though sometimes some of the victims that we help, we don't see or know beyond sometimes, even though we've written letters of support. So I guess my question to you is then, how is we as people that are just like learning like what all of these laws are? I mean, we know the immigration system just needs like a whole nother, it's really not that complicated, but we know it needs like a whole nother system in place to kind of help process and help people. So for people in the community, like, or agencies like myself, or even just people in the community, what can we do to help with the process of that? Like, what can we do?
I think the education is the key for everything in this part. So if we educate the victims and they know their rights, they can apply for. And also the education to the law enforcement agencies, so they can move forward with the petition of the request for a visa certification. And I think non-profit organizations like yours, Kenya, can do a really important job, talking to the law enforcement agency, explaining and educating about the visa certification and the importance of, this requirement for the visa process in general. And I think also educating the community, like we are doing right now with this video. Because, like you said, sometimes, people don't really understand because immigration is really complex. But we're talking about your neighbors, you're talking about, your co-worker, you are talking about people in your life, because the immigrant community is here. And so if we are educated, we're educating, the entire community. We can help victims of domestic violence to move forward and to apply, and also the law enforcement to really understand, what is the process of the visa certification and what is their role. Because their role is just to certify the visa certification. The department that is really qualified to grant or to approve the visa itself is the USCIS, so the Immigration Department. So if they move forward and they certify the visa certification, they are giving the opportunity to the victims that is a member of our community to move forward and to get a better life, to try to get a new opportunity to get legal status in the United States with all the benefits that is involved.
Okay, and so lastly, I would just like to say, as a community advocate and a person speaking from a person of color, we sometimes think that like immigration and things like that don't affect us maybe like directly, but essentially it does. And speaking from the lens of a person of color, I often know like the challenges in general, just being a woman and being a woman of color. So I can only imagine like those victims and those people in the community that could be, if the roles could be reversed, and it could have been a situation where I had to flee or to come somewhere to be safe. So we're glad that we're able to be a part of the community, and it is our responsibility and our duty if we've been blessed and fortunate to be in the position that we have. And then just one final question, is there anything like if people want to get in contact with you about services or about your legal services, like where do they need to, how do they contact you?
Sure, yeah, like I said before, my office is located here in Winston-Salem. My address is 2200 Silence Creek Parkway, Suite 3B. And my phone number, I don't know if you want it, 336-386-9295. Very happy to help, very happy to try to see what are the legal strategies in the cases, especially because I'm an immigrant myself, and I know the immigration process is really complicated and give us a lot of stress. So as a legal office, my commitment is try to accompany, my clients in order to do the process in a way that is going to be smooth and it's going to be better. I understand the system because I'm an immigration attorney, but I also understand what are the challenges as an immigrant myself. because I went through the process myself.
And lastly, I would just like to say that if anyone in the community that is needing services with domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, we are not legal attorneys, but obviously we're blessed and fortunate to have access to immigration attorneys. So if you're in need of services, you're free. We don't ask legal status, things like that. We more or less know our way around different parts of the court system. So if you are in need of any service, regardless of its domestic violence, and we don't, or sexual assault, like I said, or human trafficking, or you just have a question and you're from the immigrant community, you can reach us at 336-776-0322 or 336-865-0388. So I'd like to thank you again for Ms. Marina for taking your time to share with us and to share with the community about immigration and its process.
Thank you, Keria. Thank you for having me today. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it.